This is Darius Oliver, and you're listening to 92.1 KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
This broadcast will start in 60 seconds. This broadcast will start in 45 seconds. This broadcast will start in 30 seconds. This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS The Voice of Stockton or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Vigil show at 3 p.m. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone having a good Saturday afternoon. Right now, I have a guest who is a professor of education, and your expertise is what?
Chemistry.
So he also he also write book on chemistry. And he's a very busy professor, right?
Sure
so anyway, he looked pretty young for being a professor at his age. You know that? So obvious, he have a lot to talk about. What he said and everything. He's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time on this show. And I would like to talk about the contest. Okay. Right now, people have not posted the picture. What's wrong? Are you camera shy? Anyways, the contest is 2 free tickets on my show. You know, it's $15. You get 2 tickets. That's $30 worth of value, including meal, drink, and 1 raffle ticket. But parking lot is not included, so you have to pay $5 parking. But other than that, those 2 tickets are supposed to, people supposed to send their favorite event on themselves on our Voice of Stockton. Okay, so please come on. If you still want to win it, it's still available, and we're gonna be doing it every week until I get rid of it. I bought 10 tickets. I'm donating it, so people should be interested to go to see the car show. They're gonna be mariachi. They're gonna be salsa and guacamole contest, ballet, folklore. So all those things are gonna be a lot of events, and a lot of people in Stockton are gonna be there too. Also, So anyway,
I had a question.
Let me do my advertising first. So anyway, my contest is be great, and that's gonna be the Voice of Stockton Chicano 4th annual community program, radio reunion, and car show. So amazing performer, car show, Mexican food, beers and wine, raffle, and fun. So you can't miss this. You cannot. No. So personally, $15, you get a good meal, drink, and 1 eligible raffle ticket. So you might win something, okay? So be part of the club. So go ahead and send your picture of your favorite event, and we'll select the winner. Okay, at the end of the week or maybe today. Okay. For now, we're going to go to our guest, Professor Robert Bornick.
Thank you.
So, how are you doing today? And tell me what you think about education.
Well, first, I'll introduce myself. You could call me Robert. Probably not Rob. That's like family stuff. Or Professor B. That's enough. You know, we gotta keep things casual. Well, very big subject that we're gonna dig into. How bad is our K through 12 public education system across the country? First thing I'm gonna say is America still has some of the best high schools in the whole world. But we also have some of the worst high schools in the whole world. So it's kind of like some kids get to drive a Porsche to high school, and some kids have to walk 10 miles to high school. And I think, you know, I have studied and written books on chemistry, you know, get in the lab, so I'm a full-on scientist. And I studied and wrote books about how do kids learn and how to be a good teacher. Just think for a minute about your best teacher from from pre-kindergarten till 12th grade. We all know what a good teacher says and does and acts like. Every kid deserves a good teacher. So that's where I'm starting. But what I really want to say is that what has completely been lost from our, I would say, public schools in general is why we have them in the first place. Social justice and kindness. One, kindness says clearly every baby born in our country should get a high quality, equal education. If you take some kids, and we know neighborhoods and stories that go to the worst high school, that's just not kind. So I don't really see there's anything to discuss. It's like the school systems have lost the kindness, and the parents aren't kind about the schools, and the students aren't kind to the teachers and peers, and the teachers aren't kind to the students, and the principals aren't kind to anyone. And am I saying every single person in those groups? No, I'm saying a lot. Enough people aren't kind in the system that the system is unkind. So that's the first issue. People are going to ask me, well, what can you do about it? Tell us 3 things we can pay for that will change this. And I'll just laugh and I'll say, I'm planting a new seed. All of us need to grow the tree together. Okay, enough biblical style stories. Number 2 is, I want to talk about America compared to the other countries in the world. First, I'm going to talk about California. California used to have the top 5 test scores in the public schools for years. People moved to California to go to the schools. Long history, go look it up. California, out of 50 states now in the test score, is between 45 and 50. We're now rock bottom. We all have a million rich neighbors and know a million rich Apple corporations and Google. Why do we have the lowest 5 performing schools in the United States? So it's just another question for you to ask. So I compared it to other countries. Asia is rising and they're putting money in education, and the top 5 countries who the students take the math test. So this is math test scores in high school around the world. The top 5 are in Asia. Then there's a very special one, Finland. I'm going to come back to that. Then there are a few in Europe. That's the top 10 in the world. Now, 20 years ago, Finland was low. Not low, Finland was okay. Then they said, we're going to do an experiment. For 2 years, everyone's going to pay more taxes, and we're going to put every dollar into every kid in every school in our whole country. And they did it for 2 years. And what they had was hire teams and teams of people in the schools. More teachers aides, more art teachers, more therapists, psychologists, educational psychologists who can find out if you're dyslexic or you're ADD. And when a kid was performing below average, the team moved in. That kid was the case, and they all brought their professional skills, and the team went with the kid, and they had to have home appointments. And then when they got the family stuff worked out, then they got all the teaching and learning stuff they needed. And in 2 years, Finland's score in the international contest went up a lot. Again, let's skip the details. All the negative people will say, well, Finland's small, and Finland's all white, and Finland is richer than America. And I say, some of those things are true, but really don't matter. So that's what I say about Finland. Now, I've taught at a lot of private colleges and state colleges. And the number one thing I want to say about our state colleges are that the classes are too big for one teacher. The thing I want to say about the best unaffordable private colleges is some of the classes have one professor teaching 10 students. Now imagine how much you learn with 10 kids in a class versus 200 kids in a class. There are University of California classes that have 550 students sitting in a room with one professor and 3 jumbo movie screens. I mean, when you're supposed to learn chemistry on a movie screen, that's like a robot. But it's a robot, you can't ask questions. Anyway, you know, I'm a comedian too. So, I really want to ask Doug over here, anything he thought about in his education? Has he seen any of this non-kindness in the schools and with the administration? You got where I was coming from.
Yeah, I definitely think I ran for school board just because that it's an injustice that they cut back a lot of program on special education. They cut down on art. They cut back on teacher retention. You know, I mean, they cut back on union pay. They cut back on a lot of things that wasn't. It's all bureaucrat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what happened then is that kids were left behind, and I had met students that couldn't read or write. You know, they let them, they passed them through to graduate. So it's kind of disservice, and I believe that the school education is broken for sure, because where the money goes, you have to follow where the money goes. And right now I pretty much, you know, I'm full support with the Indian tutoring center. You know, they're the one that are helping the student getting back into the right track.
Yes.
And that we need more of those things in the Latino community, in our our Filipino community, our
yes.
Islamic community, everything needs to be equal to our student. You know what I mean? So, and that's what
Equality.
helped them to get back into their peer to graduate and stuff like that. And that what they're cutting back also on
Yes.
tutoring, and that's very sad too. You know.
Oh, yeah.
So I do agree with what you're saying, but I do remember you told me about how they tricked the state on the average. Do you remember you told me?
Yes, I
So
did.
can you explain down what they did when they come and get one of their best students to their class to take the test?
Yeah, it's really a story of numbers and math, but I'll try to tell it as a regular story. So, you know how your kids have to take these big multiple choice standardized tests. Here in California, I think they're called C-STAR or STAR. Now we have a federal set of tests that they take with the multiple choice called the Common Core. Anyway, so let's say you wanted to, let's say you wanted to go to the best restaurant in Yelp. You would see how many reviews, let's say 500 reviews and a score of 5.0. That would be the best restaurant. Well, the state has a similar process, and they give a test to the school and they grade the school. Are you a 3-star? Are you a 5-star? Or are you a 1-star? Which there's nothing we can do to help you. 1-star schools, they're just part of life. So accept them. Well, anyway, so now I'm on Yelp and I want my restaurant to look better. So either I try to take out a lot of the 3s and 4s from my reviews. Well, if I take out my 3s and 4s, I go up. I could have a 5. If I take out all my 3s and 4s, I'll have a 5.0 restaurant. Well, naming those schools, because I don't know any specific facts and locations, there are schools that tell their F students, stay home today because today is test day for the school. So they cheat the students of their education. They lie about the scores, test scores of the students, and then they make the school go from a 1-star to a 2-star. And then they're out of trouble. But they haven't done one thing for all those F and D students. Nothing. They changed the number. So that was the most non-mathematical version I could produce.
Well, but yeah. So in other words, that they tell but you did say that they tell their students to stay home and take all their best students that come to school to take the test, right?
Yeah, they're stacking the test.
So that you think that's common in California that they do that? They still doing that?
I've only heard the stories on the East Coast, but I'm sure it happens in every state.
I'm sure it does.
Every state.
If once they do that, and then they're common everywhere too.
Yeah, states copy each other. Some states want to do it their own way. I won't name any states, but there was this thing all about you have to teach the biblical creation story, and you have to teach that Darwin's evolution was not a scientific fact.
Right.
That happened in a state, but I don't want the state to contact me for false information.
Well, so I think it's better to be. There's a lot of what that word I'm looking for. Not scandal, but what the other word? People
corruption.
That questionable thing going on with their school system.
Yep.
Where they go to fun, what curriculum.
Shady money stuff.
So
yep.
Also tell me, you wrote a book about what to change on the math course, right? In California. Chemistry. So please tell me what happened to that and what can I do for you to, did you bring your sack of material that I could bring in and bring it to the board?
No, they are temporarily in storage, but I will have them.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me what happened.
Well, you see, because I have a lifestyle right now, I have one spot in Alhambra in Southern California. My second crib is here in Stockton, and my third crib, anytime I want, is back in New Haven, Connecticut.
Right.
So that book is in Alhambra. Anyway, I'll go down and get it.
Okay.
So, the book is more like a workbook. No, the book is a workbook in kind of the way we talk about school. The way professors talk about this book is they say it's a innovative teaching and learning guide, and the title is Minds on Chemistry, because most students are learning chemistry in high school and college, but their minds are somewhere else. They're not tuned in to the chemistry. So they're in class, their mind is not on. They do some homework, they just find out how to get an A on a test. Then they forget because their minds were never on for a minute. You could call it retention, absorption, integration, blah, blah, blah. They learn, they get an A, and they forget. That's my big experience in typical public schools. Now, what we did with the book was we did scientific research on how the teachers taught and how the students learned and what they learned and didn't learn. It was science. So we did it at UC Berkeley. I worked with a wonderful team of 4 with a hero of teaching and learning chemistry. If you're interested, go to UC Berkeley's website, chemistry department, Professor Stacy, S-T-A-C-Y. She has probably changed the way chemistry is taught in college more than anyone I know. And she taught me a lot of good stuff. So the 4 of us wrote this workbook, which had one per week for a whole year in freshman chemistry 101 at any college. So it was one activity, and we had the book for the teachers. Here's how you do the activity correctly. And the second book was the student book. The teachers got the answers, got the instructions, and they got things to say. Like, if your student says the earth is flat, here's how to talk about it. Because we know what the students usually think. So we can predict, and we taught the teacher, this is the best way to talk about that stuff. Anyway, and then 1 hour, once a week, we called it a discussion sheet. People would call it a worksheet. Oh, here's the dog. So let's call it a worksheet. There were 5 requirements. It would start with a question and end with a check-in to make sure they learned that one thing.
Interesting.
2, it had problems that had to include math problems, problems with graphs, patterns, and pictures. That's for visual learners. And of course, it had to be filled with words, because chemistry is taught and learned, and it's words, 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 and a few numbers. And there's pictures, and trust me, the students never look at the pictures.
Oh, wow.
They should, because they can learn more from the
More
picture.
visual than that.
But the picture has tiny little words at the bottom that tells you what the picture is. So if you look at a picture, don't know what it is, and you can't read what it is, it's just like, oh, that's...
Like a diagram.
Yeah. So words, pictures, and math. Then we made sure to have them work in groups of 4. And we made sure that the teacher moved around the room. Now back to class size.
So that means, okay, before you go there,
Yes.
so that's how the student and the teacher interact each other, right? Okay.
High level of interaction.
Okay.
Really, it's really 1 to 4. But students don't need 1 to 4 every minute, because then you leave them and the 4 teach each other. So you don't need a teacher every second talking to every student if they're hands-on learning.
Right.
And it's called social learning. It's very memorable and well-retained learning.
Okay.
But class size. So earlier I said tutoring one-on-one is like pure customized learning if the world could do it, everyone would be an Einstein. Reality, well, that brings up a side issue of mom and dad are the first and best teachers anyone has. But how do I explain it? We don't teach moms and dads how to teach their children.
What about that? But in chemistry, I don't think the parents don't know that. They already know the
It
basics.
doesn't have to be chemistry. They got to teach you what they know the most about.
Right. So
Whatever they know the most and always read about, or maybe it's movies, I don't care.
right.
Their expertise and their passion, teaching the kids every day, that's tutoring.
Do you think chemistry is also good for charter school, private school, public school? Are they well teach there as well too?
Every kid in America should graduate high school getting a C, a minimum of a C in chem, physics, biology, and pre-calculus. If you can't get a C in those classes, you repeat it in the summer, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to be kind. So I want every kid to come out minimum.
Minimum. Well, minimum is a D.
I say C minus. I don't like D's because
No, when Dad used to call me, they used to call it the average. When I tell my dad, he always asked me, Dad, how you doing at school? I said, Douglas, what are you doing at school? How are you doing at school? Oh, I'm doing fine, Dad. So I did fine. And he said, oh, you're doing fine? Okay, great. So she gave my report card, and I said, oh, you got an F. So that means that you're doing fine on P in P.
F for fine?
F for fine? Oh. I'm like, oh yeah. I said, fine. So every time she would ask me a question, I'm doing fine, Dad. He said, and then you put D for dumb, C for something. I've got there's another word for D. B as in average. B A the awesome, but he's always had this thing to make fun of me, because I mean he knows better, but I know what he was doing. He was kind of like, he'd always emphasize what people cannot take away. If you lose a house, you can always get it back.
Yep.
If you lose a car, you always can get it back. But what nobody can take it.
Oh, in the professor world, we would call that life skills intelligence, money smart intelligence, and spiritual intelligence.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. That's all three subjects. That's really touching. Well, that's why I believe in school. I'm a number one advocate at school. I believe children should not be left behind. Students need to be invested in the individuality in the student, you know what I mean? So I do believe that played a core. A lot of people think that general education are important because they're 6 board focus on education, but yet there's only one person that will advocate for special education.
Not enough.
Not enough. And so I want to hire more teachers, helper, make sure that they pay well so they don't leave for another school.
Yep.
And all that stuff required by technology for the blind, for the disability, the deafness, all that stuff that's been cut back,
I'm going to take a moment to look up a statistic I want to share.
All right, go ahead. So while he's looking at that, I want to talk about that issue that Stockton provides. Now we have a new superintendent. I hope they're changing that factor and hoping that it will change, that to update the curriculum as well. Art needs to be back with that one way to express where they're coming from, so that's it. So what to say?
So now I've been talking a lot about the average scores that a school gets, and that the average rating that a school gets, and the average score of a student. So here's a fact about why kids need more tutoring and more small classes. Today, in all of the United States public high schools, they have one guidance counselor for 500 students.
No way.
only one guidance counselor, so none of the 500 students get any guidance counseling, any help applying for college, any information about the SAT. I could go on and on because I tutor these things. I have them for 10 years. But the families that are blessed with my chance to tutor is because they can afford to pay me. I need to make a living, and tutoring, like everything, has a certain rate. But 90% of families cannot afford tutoring, or they can't afford the kind of tutoring that my private company provides.
Wow.
So here we are again saying if you're richer, you're going to get a better education.
Right. Which is true.
Well, I just had to share the 500 kids competing to talk to the guidance counselor, because that, for me, that's moral outrage. Okay, I'm going to put down my...
Well, see, that's why we need a professor, of education talking to people that think that they're being lied to. You know what I mean?
They are being lied to.
And that's something that I'm advocate about education.
You are.
Politics, to me, is I'm not into politics, student government politics, like city or government. I'm more like into like volunteer appointment, board member, whatever, on city council or whatever. But school board, education are very important to me, because people who remember their special education go to the mainstream school. I used to go to the mainstream school.
Yes.
I dropped out of high school because I would constantly barbaric. I would constantly bully. I would bullying, harassed by my own teacher.
Show.
By my own teacher.
A whole show on bullying.
So they always send me to the detention. Not that I tried to forget this crap. I'm already 18 at the 10th grade level. They kept holding me back, and my mom said. So my mom said he's old enough to do it, and the reason why I rebelled because I missed one day of school. So I excused myself with a letter, and they didn't like that. The teacher from the special ed said, "No, that's not. Can't do that, Doug." I said, "I could do whatever I want. I'm 18. I'm an an adult. Just because I'm in your business, don't treat me like a retarded." But that back then that's the wrong connotation. But that's what I told them. You know what I mean?
You were a tough 18-year-old.
Yeah. So, I knew about it. So but anyway, I graduated. I finally dropped out of high school. Went to a general high school. I went to a San Leonard high school, and I took my required subject, history, government, English, which they hold me back. And so I did that. I took my GED, I took my high school, and I got my nice school diploma, So it's a testament for people.
There's a million paths to the same solution.
Right. And I always emphasize people should go back to get their high school in adult school. We have adult school in Stockton, And
every city does.
Yeah, but I do advertise people. You don't give up. Don't give up.
No.
Just because you drop out of high school don't mean it makes you make who you are now as a person right now.
I have another story just like this. You're gonna love
tell
it.
me about it.
You're gonna love it.
I will love it.
My mom's sister, my aunt, and her husband. I'll just say my aunt. She dropped out of college, I think freshman year, because she graduated high school so fast with the best grades.
Wow.
That she was ready for college with her graduation.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't ready for college socially, because she was the only girl in a class of all boys studying accounting.
Oh, okay.
So all the boys, if you're the only girl, today they'd call it bullying, but then they would call it, they're just teasing her. So one of the reasons she dropped out was
she was the only girl?
Felt unsafe.
Right.
You can't learn in a room unless you feel safe with the teacher and the other students.
Right.
Anyway, I never can remember if it was 60 years old or 62, but she worked at the university in New York, and they paid for night school and weekend school. She got her bachelor's degree. I'll say she was 65. Mm-hmm. And her husband was right there next to her studying, and he got his bachelor's degree in his 60s. So when you said it's never too late for a GED, I'm saying it's never too late for a GED, but it's never, never, never too late for a bachelor's
That's
degree
right.
or college.
Amen for that. That's true.
Amen.
And that's why you know, I know that you're a math teacher or a chemistry teacher, whatever.
Science and math, you got
But
it.
do you think do you think that we have enough? We need to focus on people on math, a whole round of education, or we need to focus on literacy, comprehension. You know, people who read, that comprehend what they're reading instead of just reading the word.
That's a tough question.
Okay.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna answer with questions.
Okay, now you got the answer, huh?
So, should the schools focus, emphasize math or emphasize reading and writing? That's what you're asking me.
Well, I don't. We need math. We need that. They're both important, but some people focus on this
Yes.
issue more than the other.
Yes, they do.
But I want to hear from your profession, your expertise on. They're both important, and they should be emphasized on both programs to be educated. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. So, what I hear you saying is you think that we should make them both important, but equally important.
Right.
We shouldn't tip towards one or the other. I agree 100%. Back to I was talking about the chemistry worksheets that I created. They had words, pictures, and math. Our students need to have equally strong education in reading and writing, math, and the pictures are actually, it's not just art.
But also history, we don't want to
There are
repeat
pictures
itself.
in history, there are pictures in social studies, but really, pictures in that context could mean, when you write an art history report, the pictures, you take pictures, you write the words, and honestly, the little bit of math that's there are the years. And this year they did that. It took them 10 years to learn a new thing. So there is math in there, but it's the kind of math that all students like. It's not the kind of math like pre-calculus where students say it's impossible to learn.
Well, I just because one thing that Stockton Unified have accepted a new program. I don't know. It's called coding.
Yeah, coding.
Coding is
everywhere. Coding.
Is that normal in the East Coast, coding, than it is in California?
Coding in the high school is coding is like this year's term. 5 years ago, it was called programming. And 30 years ago, when I took it, it was called computer programming.
Okay.
So coding just means programming the Microsoft Word software so that it does what you need it to do. Really smart computer science engineer dudes, they use numbers and letters, and even simpler, they use zeros and ones to make your screen open and say file save. They write in the language of math and science, and you use the result. So, coding, my son, I didn't even get to my son who's 16.
Hold on. Let me go for that. We're going to talk about this time. We're almost.
Coding.
We got plenty of time. I have a teacher. I have a good friend. Her name is Christine Fragazzi. You and her will make a good talker. She do science. She loves science, and she is one of my good friends, and she's well known. She's a city council member. She's also a teacher. And she always emphasized her education when it comes to politics and trying to confirm what the reason, what's fact and what's not fact, and into science. And she always talk about if there a questionable what the result is. What is the result of their science? What is that? So I'm like, wow, she's very powerful when she talks about when she explains to her why she's voting for this agenda and this agenda based on what her teaching method
Yeah.
to educate the public.
Yep.
You know, she teach the public like a student, and I am thankful for that. You know, because a lot of people really like to hear what they want to hear, but when it comes to teacher are very skilled or are talented or skilled that know how to talk to people in a way that
many of us
understand what they don't understand why it is. You know, so. Anyway, it's about your son. I'm sorry, cutting you off. You said you had
son was just another connection. So my son is 16, and since he was born and I was singing and reading, we've always been doing his homework together. I have to confess, sometimes I did it all. Well, doesn't matter. But he works hard in his homework, and since 6th grade, he's a homework machine. That's my son. Maybe because his mom and dad are kind of brainy. I don't know. So, anyway,
an expert in education.
So in his, in the things that his mom and I agree will happen in high school, he will take coding, which is also called computer science.
Right.
1 semester, 1 term, that's all we're asking, because all the good jobs starting in 2020, you're going to have to know how to do some code programming and coding, no matter what. Because right now, when they take your credit card and stuff, all the coding is already done. But think about how many more people they're going to need who do the code for every new cash register. Now they have that little white credit card acceptor. You stick it in a tablet. You go to a flea market, and each flea market person zips your credit card. Bam! Someone had to do all the code for that. So the code is the invisible language under everything we use. Code is software, and a phone is hard, but what makes a phone do all the cool things is the software, and that's as much as I teach that. So yes, coding in Stockton should be a priority. Priority.
Priority, go ahead. We're almost close to our end. So.
Well, I don't know how to say it, but I'm getting a little tired.
I know, so we're done. So anything your last day? Well, we'll talk more. I'll get you back into it. There'll be other people who are watching want to be, probably you're going to get a call. Can you come to my show? You're going to be busy. Okay, you're going to be all right. So anyway, I'd like to thank Professor Bornick.
Professor B.
Professor B, for coming to my show, discussing about education and everything. I really love his input.
Show.
Yep, and I really also want to make sure that people who want to win the two free ticket include meal, drink, 1 raffle ticket. Okay. So it's free. So
I'm gonna submit the picture or the event.
Yeah. If you're doing it, do it. If nobody don't want it, I'll
give it to me anyway.
You need to have a picture of your favorite event, whatever event you went. Well, right now we have a Comic-Con today. You know that? They have it today and tomorrow. So I might go by there today or tomorrow, and get some little picture of superhero. But I was hoping Edward would become wearing a costume too, like Captain America. Yay!
I like that. That's a superhero.
Anyway, thanks for watching the Doug Vigil Show, and I'd like to thank my guest for coming at his time on a weekend.
Host.
So it's really awesome. I really appreciate his input, and also we learn from what education needs and what don't need, and what teachers should have and what don't have, and what the test result will be. So it's really interesting. Look, I'm getting a lot of paid. I'm getting a lot of people that pushing toes, stepping on toes already. So anyway, thanks so much for watching the Vigil Show, the Voice of Stockton 92.1. Take care. Mwah.
Aloha.
Okay.